Hello children, this is Sridevi, Social Department, Thal Padmavati International School, Warangal. Today we are going to learn a new topic from grade 8, History Chapter 1, that is how, when and where. Now, under this topic, the whole and sole idea of this chapter would be a kind of interest in the subject. Most of you feel the history to be a very boring and monotonous, and it is only about memorizing dates. But however, under this chapter, we would develop an idea that we study history and why it is crucial and critical to understand the key happenings in the history of India and as well as the world. Now let us know about the dates. Let me tell you an example. If I ask you your birthday, you might be feeling very happy to say that when your birthday is, when you have born and the place where you have born. In the same way, I would say you that you'll be very interesting regarding your birthdays to say about the date very perfectly. Whereas, if I ask any other boy of your class, surely he too will be trying to say your birthday because you belongs to the same class and your friend also belongs to the same class. As you celebrate your birthday, he to know your birthday when the date is. So in the same way, if I ask you with a similar thing, like if I ask your friend of your school or else one of the student of your school that when your birthday is, for sure the student will be in a question mark phase that when your birthday is. How come he can be know that when your birthday is? Why? Because he don't belong to your class or he is not your friend. In the same way, similar to the topic what I asked you with the example, if I ask you when did Akbar born, where did Babur die, and where did the Panipat battle has held, you will be having a big question mark in your mind, what it might be, when it might be, where it might be. So over the period of time, the thing and the conception has been changing previously. The history was considered and confined only to the dimensions of when the things happened. Now we are going to further and things to know about how and what happens in the history. So related to the topic, now we are going to see in history how they existed in the past and how they are in the present. So we are trying to connect or create the link between what was before and what was after. Now let us understand with a very simple example. You might have heard about the use of tea or coffee. It's very inconsistent to answer that the tea was started or the use of the tea started or this particular day or that particular year. It's not exactly that one day the person started drinking tea suddenly. It is over a period of time or a stretch of time, maybe a duration of time which is more important. It is more important and as well as very crucial to know that when the tea has come into existence. Similarly, let's say previously when the time was like aeroplanes have come into usage, it was being considered to be the means of transport, which was the only privilege to those who started or having a standard life, who are rich. But when the aeroplane has come into existence, there was no restriction in using it. Instead, it was that each and every common man of the country should be able to fly. So that it was, we are taking the history from the historical ideas of building an aeroplane to the present day use for a common man in all history. So the key consumption that you must understand about the history. Robert Clive had a very broad perspective when he was trying to rule India. At that time, he asked Rennell to produce the map of Hindustan. Clive had a very broad perspective when he was trying to rule India. At that time, he asked Rennell to produce the map of Hindustan. And its only idea was a map could help them find a place and it will be easy to conquer the specific areas. Now let's know about the present history. In this, we will learn how people earned livelihood, what they produced, how cities and kingdoms developed, how ideas were spread, and cultures. So Warren Hastings was the Governor General of India in 1773. Here, what the perspective is, we have to remember the Governor Generals, all the Governor Generals and all the Viceroys. But that is not the real history. We should know about the contribution of the each and every Governor General. Now let's know about the James Mill in his very famous book. History of British India in 1817, which was divided into three periods: Hindu, Muslim and British. The reason behind this was, before the British came to India, Hindus and Muslims ruled the country, which was true. There was a lot of discrimination based on religion, caste and superstitious activities, and which was the way the life packed. So, with all of this reason, James Mill thought only best rule could civilize India and help India get out of all social stigma. He also felt it was necessary to introduce European manners, arts, institutions and laws in India. Basically, he meant was, in India the time before British rule was full of darkness, and after British arrived, India started progressing and started civilized. Now, this kind of meaning cannot be accepted today, primarily because of that. Now, this kind of meaning cannot be accepted today, primarily because of the fact that there was no such single period of history as Hindu or Muslim. both the faith existed during this period. And if you think kings like Akbar, who was very tolerant towards Hindu faith, he even have a Hindu finance minister named Todarmal. So there is no point in categorizing a period of a ruler and his religion. Hence, we discussed the British classification of British history. Now, another division came up where the Indian history was divided into ancient, medieval, and modern period. The reason behind this division is to present a transition from ancient to modern period, where in our society the developed and moved towards growth like reason, democracy, equality and liberty. But again, this kind of division has a problem as well. According to this division, when we say the society is moving towards the ancient to modern, that was not completely true, because the modern period is associated with British rule, and if you see, people did not have the equality and liberty. But again, this kind of division has a problem as well. According to this division, when we say the society is moving towards the ancient to modern, that was not completely true, because the modern period is associated with British rule, and if you see, people did not have the equality, freedom or liberty, and there was no progress in economic growth and progress. That's why the historians referred the British period as colonial period and not modern period. Now let us know about what this colonial deals with. What colonial is? Colonial means establishment of a colony in one territory by a political power from another territory. So the moment British took over India, India became a colony, and the entire book of this history is about how British took control over India, its economy and society as well. And also we will learn about changes British rule brought out in last customs and practices. Now, how to know about what sources did historians use in writing about the last 250 years of Indian history? It was through the official record of administration. Any official documents served as a document or proof, and the British believed that the act of writing was important. Every instruction, plan, policy, decision, agreement, investigation had to be a clear written proof, because if we write down things we can later go through for the better study and a debate on it. So this is something the British did religiously. They made notes and reports of everything. So the British also felt that all important documents and letters needed to be carefully preserved. In this, the journal thing we need to remind is how, and now wherever we go, like school, hospitals, offices, we will have a record room or an administrative office that keeps all information and documents safe. Now you can think that how this idea the Britishers got. Let me tell you. Even now in Delhi we have the National Museum and Archives. It is a record room and we have all the documents and letters of the government and various administrators which have been arranged as per the date. This place has all the documents from 18th century preserved in a very good condition. And the very best and beautiful thing we notice here is most of the British documents were written by calligraphy. The calligraphist had a beautiful presentation of writing skill. These people had a beautiful handwriting, and with the introduction of printing machines, these records with such a hand writings go printed in several copies and they were all spread around. This was the way how each government started using similar handwriting for official hand, so that we could easily look the letter and identify its importance based on handwriting. A simple example for this is, if you want to see a product, if you want to sell a product to someone, you will have to know everything about the product to educate someone. Only then you can sell a product. In the same way, the only idea to know a country is possible through massive survey. Surveys can gather through different methods of observation. If you can see, even today, the government does many surveys for implementing many social policies, schemes, and policies related to the people. The biggest survey we all can remember is the census, which is done every 10 years to record the population of a country. By the early 19th century, detailed survey was being carried out to map the entire country. In the villages, revenue surveys were conducted. The effort was to know the topography, the soil quality, the flora and fauna, the local historians, and the cropping method or the pattern. All the facts seen as necessary to know about the administer the region. From the end of the 19th century, census operations were held every 10 years. These prepared detailed records of number of people in all the provinces of India, noting from information of caste, religion, and occupation. There were many other surveys, botanically surveyed, zoological surveys, archaeological surveys, anthropological surveys, forest surveys, etc. Now, let us go to the end of the topic. Till now, we have learned about what historians do, how they write history, what are the important documents, reports, what were the systematic approach the British do for proper administration. Let's learn about the more information about the lesson we must remember, which is very important. What these official records tell us? These official records tell us about official thoughts, that is, what the British officials and government wanted. These records do not always help us understand what other people in the country felt and what they These records do not always help us understand what other people in the country felt and what lay behind their actions. We will not find all these in the official records. These information can be found in diaries of people, accounts of pilgrims and travelers, autobiographers of important personalities, and popular booklets that were sold in the local bazaars, because printing press was active during that time. Hence, they must have been maintained many copies, popular books, ideas, opinions that were published. So, we need to look at them and then try to come up with the possible conclusion, and again all these reports, documents were written by those who were literates. So it is difficult to understand the people who were not literates, like the tribals, peasants, workers, or the poor on the streets. Getting to know their lives in a more difficult task. By going forward, we can now know more how this can be done in the next chapter. That's all from this lesson. Thank you. Have a great day. Stay home. Stay safe.